Looks like we're getting some people in here. Got Matt Jans coming in, Pat. What's up, Javi, Marquise, Melissa, Lita, Christina? We got everybody coming in. Good.
Lindsay.
How's it going?
Good. It's been a while, Hans. How you feeling?
I'm for you guys that don't know, I'm like deathly sick, but I'm getting back to it. So I think I had strep throat for the past week, but I'm starting to feel a little bit better. So we'll give it a couple more minutes. I know we don't have everybody in yet. Let me send out some messages here. Anyone on your team or any of the people you guys work closely with, make sure you're sending out messages in your chat. Let's get everybody in here. Is anybody like a tea person rather than coffee?
Yes.
I like both.
Okay. Because I honestly hate tea, but I've been forced to learn how to like it, I guess.
Drink green tea and then put a little bit of lemon.
Lemon.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good idea. I have lemon. This is just
lemon in any tea. It just makes it better, and it's good for I don't know, metabolism.
I believe it.
Good for everything.
I don't know what it's good for, but it's a good day to do it.
All right, cool. Looks like we're getting the management office room set up. I see Steven over there, Aubrey, I think Faith. I can't see who else we got in the room. They're waiting.
What's up, Matt?
Okay, what's going on? I think that's Jay over there. Cool. Give it another 30 seconds, see if we're missing anybody. Oh, Andreas, he's looking to hop in. All right, perfect. Well, while we're giving it another minute to see if anybody's in here, there's a couple main points we'll go over, and I'll share this with you guys in a second. But before we go into that, and while we're waiting, does anyone, I can open it up to a Q&A for the first 5 minutes or so. If anyone just has anything on the top of their head that they kind of want to ask or anything like that, basically regarding whatever, management, sales, pitch. Anyone at all? If not, it's all right. All right, cool. All right, guys. Well, sounds good then. We'll just jump right into it. I don't think anyone has any questions. If anybody does have questions, just send them in the chat, and we'll probably just go through them maybe a little bit more towards the end, just for the sake of time. I'm going to try to make this 45 minutes, a little bit quicker than usual, just because my voice is still a little rough. And I know a lot of us have some sits coming up, so we'll jump right into it. There's a couple main points, guys, that I do want to go over. Pretty much use my board for everything. The three things I just want to go over, if you guys maybe want to jot them down. One is I want to touch a little bit on POS training, because I know that Tommy's been throwing a lot of us, especially new guys, POS, which you guys should definitely be very fortunate. I remember when I started off, I got straight wills and child safe. Now I'm seeing new agents come in fresh out of training, and they're getting hard cards and POS. That's never been done before. So be appreciative for that. Honestly, best leads we have other than referrals, statistically speaking, whether that's ALP, per sale, or even show ratio, doesn't really matter. But yeah, so I'll definitely touch base on some POS training. That'll be probably number one. Number two, just some tips, with virtual presentation. I'm not really in the field too often right now. Most of my team is virtual, so it's kind of what I've been focusing on. So maybe just a couple tips for presenting virtually, how to make it shorter and a little bit more direct. And then number three is just kind of steps to management. I know for the most part, I don't know if I can speak for everybody, but I know a lot of people that are in this room and on this call, they want to get into management. And I'm sure you guys are curious, what are some things that you can do to kind of fast track your process into getting into management, whether that's SA or GA or, all the way up the ladder, hopefully to Tommy's SGA point at some point here. But so that's a little bit of an outline of pretty much, what we'll go over today. Does anybody have any preference? What do you guys want to start with? Maybe the pitch, POS training, or maybe steps to management? What do you guys want to start with?
Could just go in order. Yeah.
All right, sounds great. Didn't know if anyone had any preference or anything like that. So let's just start with POS training, because I know, like I said, a lot of us obviously got some POS leads over the last couple of days in our most recent lead shuffle. So pretty much, guys, like we said, POS, be grateful for those. Those are our policy holders. They already buy into the company. They've already bought our product and they already believe in it. And at the same point, you already have another agent's residuals on the line. Think of that when you go into these presentations. You know, you don't want to blow this person off, not send them their benefits folder, or put a bad taste in their mouth about the company, because people that are policyholders, they're already paying us money every single month. So it's a very easy presentation because they already bought the company. The only other things that they need to buy are pretty much you, because they bought the company and they bought the product. So when you go in there, be as professional as you can. I know with virtual, a couple tips that we've had originally, you know, I know a lot of people would like be dressed to the nines, like Andreas. I know he's always rocking the suit. And I know a lot of people, they'll wear kind of the polos. Whatever your preference is, it doesn't matter. What I found out with POS, I like to get dressed up. They're like a white collar shirt on. It doesn't have to be like that, but the idea is you're not a benefits representative. Like that's kind of the idea when you go to sit with a policyholder. You're not there to enroll them into their benefits like the first time, like a rep would out in the field. You're kind of there as like a servicing manager. Like that's the idea and like the mentality you have to have. That way they're not thinking of you as someone who's there to sell them. You know, you really just got to put like your customer service cap on and go in there and just educate them on what they have, explain to them how their paperwork actually works and what the future of their policy looks like. And if you break that down in a very simple manner and you're energetic and you're animated while you do that, they're going to pay attention. They're going to be very happy that you met with them, because nobody knows what their life insurance is. I don't care what anybody says on the phone. If someone says, oh, don't worry, I already know what it is. One thing I asked them straight up, I said, okay, yeah, no problem. Let me ask you, Joe, do you know exactly what your policy looks like in detail, or are you just sending in the bill every month? 100% of the time, they're sending in the bill. They don't know what they have. No one knows if they have riders, they have accidental, whole life, term. No one knows. They might just say, I got 100,000 of coverage. That could be 50,000 accidental, 50,000 of, I don't even know, terminal illness rider, like something just absolutely random. Like they have no idea, you know? So the idea is when you go in there and you sit down with them, you just want to educate them for the first, you know, 3/4 of the pitch, and you don't really have to sell it. Because if you go in there like a servicing manager and you just educate them, refresh them on what they have, how it works, and what the future of their policy looks like, by the time you get to the end and you show them exactly what coverage they have, it's the easiest sale, because they can visually see that there's gaps in what they have and where they need to be at. So if you go in there not like a benefits rep trying to sell them, sell, and you just go in there and educate them and show them that you know what you're talking about, and you're typically not dealing with you know, new enrollments. Like your job is to come in here and service the existing policies. They're going to have a different perception of you, and they're not going to think of this as a sales call. They're going to think of it more as like, okay, here's my policy review. I haven't been seen in 8 years. I should probably pay attention. So that's probably the biggest thing with approaching a policyholder, of course. Other than that, one thing, and I'm not sure, you know, I know there's a lot of new people, a lot of more people on the call. Oh, we got Amanda in here. Let me let her in. All right, cool. I think she's in. Basically, guys, what I was going to say is I'm not sure about everybody here, because I know we do have a lot of new faces on the call that I get a chance to speak in front of today. One thing, and this goes hand in hand with policyholders, is same with a client that's not a policyholder and you're pulling a policy. Obviously with virtual, I know some of us are still in the field. That's totally fine. You have a little bit more leeway. But when you're virtual, you have to be very cognizant of your time and your efficiency, especially when pulling policies for a client that has an existing policy through State Farm or a different company, or when you're sitting with a policy holder. You need to be very short, sweet, and, you know, like direct and to the point. because the more time you spend on explaining somebody's policy to them, all that does is that will confuse them. And I've learned that from my experience. You know, when I was a new benefits rep, I always wanted to be super nice and helpful. I'm not saying I'm not, but whenever I first came in, it's like I almost cared too much at explaining every little detail. In all reality, guys, they don't need to know every little detail. You know, you got to tell them what they have, of course, and make it simple, but you want to be very short and sweet to the point. Because if the more time you spend on explaining what they have, you think you're helping them, but really you're just confusing them more. And if a client is uncertain, guess what they're going to do when you present options? They're not sure if they want one. It's as simple as that. So with sales, like the less talking you do, the better. Same thing with explaining their policy. Just make it simple, sweet, to the point, because also the more you talk to them, it might confuse them more, but guess what else it's going to do? It's going to want to make them ask more questions. And it's a good thing when clients ask questions. Don't get me wrong, especially policyholders. It's easy and it's helpful to answer them. But as a new representative, you don't want to make your pitch pry out additional questions that you don't have to answer. Because if you go in there treating yourself like a servicing manager and you start prying out questions and you don't know those answers to those questions, that's an easy way to lose that sale. Because that is the first thing that's going to lead to uncertainty in your presentation. So you have to tell them just enough so that they understand exactly what they have, what the future of their policy looks like, and how it's nothing wrong they did. You know, Joe and Mary, it's nothing wrong you guys did. You guys honestly probably made the right decision back then, 8 years ago when you grabbed this. The only thing is though, right now, the union, all they're really looking at is the guaranteed whole life. Now, obviously, guys, with the term you have, like I said, it's nothing wrong you guys did. You did the right thing at the time, but that is the temporary coverage and that is set to expire. Now, like I said, the union, all they're really looking at is the guaranteed whole life. And then I always hit them with a really hard question. And this is stuff for some of you that were here, you know, 5-6 months ago when we had the pleasure of actually meeting with Carmen Arroyo. I believe she's a GA as well in Miami. I'm not sure, somewhere in Florida. She's very direct and she's good at asking people very difficult questions with a straight face. Because that's like what really hits people hard and it makes them treat this very serious. And it also makes them realize what we're talking about is not a joke. So when I tell them, it's nothing wrong you guys did, you guys probably did the right thing. You know, 8 years ago when you grabbed that term, kids were still in school. But the thing is, they're grown now. We don't got to worry about that. All we're looking at with the union is the guaranteed whole life. Now, obviously, Joe and Mary, you guys want to make sure your family's protected permanently, right? Not temporarily, permanently. Exactly, right? So obviously, guys, and then you close out of the needs and you go into, you know, qualifying questions and writing options. Pretty much doesn't matter whether it's a policyholder or someone with basically just another policy. I use that line in almost every sit. It's a very easy way. I spend 5-10 minutes max on explaining their policy. And then I hit them with that, especially if it's a term. If it's a term, 100 times out of 100, I'm saying that line. Joe, Mary, you guys want to make sure your family's protected permanently, right? Not temporarily. Yeah, of course. They just sold themselves to me. They just told me that they're going to buy this right then and there. And if you have that control and you have them like feeling that way as you go through the pitch, you're going to start realizing you already know you're going to make the sale when you're halfway through. Just because you know the momentum it's going and the answers you're getting out of the clients, it follows a pattern, just like our pitch. Every time we sit with someone, it's the same thing. You just have to keep doing it and doing it and doing it. And it's going to get better. It's as simple as that. It's just repetition. So just as a recap, like I said, for policyholders, or if you're sitting down with a regular union client or whatever, and they have a policy, you want to be short. I don't like to spend more than 10 minutes on their policy. There's 5 things I look for. I would write this down. Number 1, before I actually give you the 5, everything you need to know about a life insurance policy is usually within the first 5 pages. And that's just for you guys to know. You don't have to write that down. But basically, guys, number 1 is I tell them to go to the first page and I say, what company is that with? I obviously should already know, but I just make them say it again. That's just control. Okay, you're a State Farm. Perfect. Now on that first or second page, it should tell you the name of that policy. So that's a term life policy, whole life policy, universal life policy. I give them like a couple names, and I just sit back. I'm real calm, and I let them look at it in virtual, and I let them find the answers out for themselves. It's not hard to go through a life insurance policy, and I'm going to explain how to do it very simply. But sometimes virtually, I have them hold it up to the screen. 5 minutes are going by and they can't find it. I'll do that. Get your control. Make them hold it up to the screen, and you go through it. But I like personally, because I know how to walk through a policy, I like when they do it themselves, because I don't come off as beating up a policy. I'm just telling them what to look for, and they read it, and I just watch their jaw drop when they find out that the policy they've been paying for 40 years is a term policy or a universal, and it's going to go away. So you really take the pressure off of yourself when you make the client read it for themselves. So number one, like I said, name of company. Number two, find out the type of policy. Number three, usually on the second or third page, it usually goes in this order too, find out the coverage amount. Right next to the coverage amount is usually the premium amount. And just the, a sub-step, I guess, for premium amount or coverage amount, look for asterisks. I don't know, asterisks, like an asterisk. I don't know how to say that plural, but if you see premium amount, that's usually a good thing. But if you see initial premium, first premium, and there's like an asterisk next to that, that's a very good indicator that that premium is not locked in. So the company has the ability to change it at any point. It can go up or down. And guess what? If they have the option to increase it or decrease it, they're always going to increase it as you get older, without a fact. So number one, like I said, name a company. Number two, name a policy type. Number three, policy amount, like coverage amount. And number four, which is usually right next to it, is premium amount. And look for those asterisks or initial premium or like any underlines. Those are little indicators that can show you that it's not a whole life policy. And after that, it's either schedule of premiums or schedule of cash value. And that's usually on the third, fourth, or fifth page. It goes in that order. After the fifth page, you do not need to do anything else. 9 times out of 10, policies from companies, they send them out. They're like the application questions or legal terms. You can look through those, but like the information you need to explain to a client what they have, you don't usually have to go past page 5. So fifth step, guys, like I said, that's schedule of premiums. So especially if it's a term, this is why I really like making the client look at this for themselves. I just tell them, after I go through all the first 4 steps, I tell them, okay, perfect. Now you should see on that last page, 4th, 5th page or so, there should be like a bar graph, or not a bar graph. It's like a chart, like a table. It should be called schedule of premiums. Do you guys see that? They're like, yes. Basically, it's a very simple way for any common person. It's dummy proof. You can just read it from top to bottom, especially for a term policy. It shows you their age, and as you get older, how the premiums increase. Obviously, as you guys know, all term policies are different. It might say a level term, level 20-year term. That's common. And people think, no, my term, it never changes price. It says level. You'll go and you'll let them look at the schedule of premium, and they're right. For policy years 1 to 20, it's the same price. But guess what? Every year after that, it goes up in price. And by the time you're in your 50s, 60s, 70s, when you actually need your life insurance, you can't afford it because you're paying $1,000 a month for that same amount of coverage. You don't have to sell anything there. You just show them, have them go to that, just know that in your head where that's located, and you just lay it in front of them and they walk through it. Same thing for schedule of cash value or just cash value table. That's if you know you're dealing with a whole life policy. You're not really beating it up as much. A lot of times if someone has a whole life policy, that's great. They usually just don't have enough. So I'm not beating it up. I actually like when I see someone with a good policy, because I don't like to always look like I'm beating up what they have. Like I like when people have 3 or 4 insurance policies, because number one, it shows me that they believe in insurance. Number two, I usually am going to beat up 3 of those, and that 4th one usually is a good one. And that way I'm like leaving on a good note. Like, listen, Joe and Mary, before I go through these policies, you're going to promise you're not going to shoot the messenger, right? I'm just going to walk through these for you and show you what you have. Is that fair? Get their agreements. That way you're in front of them. It's an easy way when you're in the home and I'm looking them dead in the face and they come and they set down the policy on the table and I keep talking to them and I act like the policy doesn't even matter because it shows that I'm not like hungry or desperate to show them what they have. They lay it down and I keep talking to them. I keep building rapport. After a minute or two goes by, I put my hand on it and I look at them and I get their agreements. I tell them, so Joe, Mary, before I review this with you, I just want to make sure that whether this is a good, bad, or ugly policy, you guys promise you're not going to shoot the messenger, right? Okay, perfect. And then I go through it. That way I'm being even-handed, like Gio says, like I'm not being biased. I'm just here to educate you. I'm not an enrollment specialist. I'm not a benefits rep. I'm here as a servicing manager to educate you on what you have, show you what the future of the policy looks like, and plug everything you have in to make sure you're in a good spot today. But pretty much that was kind of my point with the schedule of cash value. If you are dealing with someone that has a whole life policy, you can go the same spot a schedule of premium would be, and it's usually a cash value table. And it will show them, especially if their premium is level, like it should be with a whole life policy, it will just continuously show an increased value of cash value. So you can calculate that in when you're showing options. All right, Joe, you got 10,000 over here. That's great. Obviously, we know there's a need for 50,000. You need 40,000 more. You can cash this out when you're 62. You're going to have 9,000 extra dollars. You pay it into it 11,000. You're just getting all your money back, and you're going to have this 40,000 to cover the rest. So just know the difference between the cash value and the schedule of premiums, and know how to utilize it. Like I said, if you're doing it virtual, practice and practice and practice using those 5 things. It's an easy way to walk through, and I spend less than 10 minutes, sometimes 5 minutes. It's very short, sweet, to the point. They know exactly what they have. And then I end it with kind of like how I introduced it. Joe and Mary, you guys obviously want to make sure you protect your family permanently, right? Not temporarily. They obviously agree, and then I close it out. Almost every time I talk about someone's insurance policy, that's how I end it. But yeah, so pretty much, guys, that's it with pulling the policies and explaining that for like a POS. I want to kind of go on to my next section, but before I do that, do you guys have any questions on POS or how to pull policies or how to explain that to them or anything like that before I kind of move on? I know we're almost halfway through, and I want to go over a couple more things. So any questions on POS or anything like that?
One quick question, Matt. So obviously they're already a policyholder. They bought the company already. So are you going through union benefits still, or just straight what policy they had and going over that? No other benefits?
Good question. So I'm glad you said that, because I did actually forget to touch base on that. So obviously you plug in their information, that's a no-brainer. That's towards the end. In regards to the order of the presentation, go over their layoff and strike waivers. People don't remember that they have those. Sometimes people don't even get those. I'm not sure when those came out, but a lot of times I met with people that had a policy for 10 years and they've never heard of it, and they're in the union and they get laid off and go on strike every couple of years. So number one, go off their layoff and strike waivers. Obviously, they're freedom of choice. I'm still doing the discount card and the will. Number one is because it's easily, you can easily explain that, because most people had the old AIL or the health service discount card, and then some people never got it. So especially for the people that had the old one, probably never even used it. It was good, but compared to the one we have now, it's a lot better. So it's an easy way to go in there, not as a salesman or a benefits rep, more as a servicing manager. We're here just to update you on your benefits and get you out your new paperwork. So when you educate them, you also can do the discount card, educate them on how they've upgraded it just this year. Plus, it's an easy way to get referrals. Number two, I always do the will. regardless. Like sometimes people already have it. I still do it again. I tell them I'm going to send them out some extras. We're going to get you the updated ones.
The fig or the will?
I'm sorry. Yeah, the fig.
The fig, okay.
Yeah, I don't do the full will kit. But yeah, I definitely do the fig just because I want to figure out what type of coverage they have. I obviously, if it's a POS, I know what they have through us, but that doesn't mean they don't have other insurance policies elsewhere. So that's my main purpose of going through the fig, just to wrap it up and to figure out if they have other insurance policies in the estate information, of course. But yeah, so I do cut out a couple things, but yeah, POS are usually a little bit quicker. I obviously go over their layoff and strike waivers. I make sure they understand how to use their freedom of choice, and I do their discount card and their will. Update them on their benefits, and then I start to go into, explaining obviously the term and whole, educating them, and then obviously plugging in what they have and making sure they're in a good spot. So maybe any other questions on other things included in the POS or anything like that?
It's still very contagious though, but yeah.
Being an agency, you guys are unmuted, or you guys have any questions over there?
Kind of joking.
Can you hear me?
Faith, Aubrey, Stephen.
Yeah, hold on real quick, guys.
I have a real quick question for you, Matt.
Yeah, Melissa.
So how long are you typically sitting with a POS?
For POS, it's definitely a little bit shorter. Ideally, I'm trying to do that, like wrapping up a sale in like an hour and a half, hour 45. Union, honestly, even though we're doing virtual, it's hard to kind of cut it out, but I'm usually close to 2 hours for union. But like if we're doing outside of paperwork, it's usually only taking me an hour to go through a POS, and then paperwork could take anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes. You guys know, if people have their stuff readily available, I can get through it in 5-10 minutes. So ideally for a POS, like my mindset going into it is I like to be start, finish, done in an hour and a half. Union, a little bit longer because I'm doing the child safe kit and a couple more things, obviously. So that's usually 2 hours. Ideally, I'm ending the pitch in like an hour 30, hour 45, and then paperwork. Cool. Any other questions on POS?
I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hey, so how are you closing out the needs when you're asking the 3 questions, like as much as you need this, as much as your family, how is that different from union sits? Because since they already have a policy, do you still say the same thing?
Yeah, I do the exact same thing. And the way I'm able to do that is kind of like I talked about earlier with closing out what they have. You educate them on what they have. You explain this is the coverage you have. It's nothing wrong you guys did, Joe and Mary. You guys probably did the right thing 10 years ago when you grabbed this and you grabbed that 10-year term. But obviously the kids are grown up now. We're not really worried about providing them the income anymore. We're really just looking at the guaranteed expenses like our funeral and final arrangements. So obviously Joe and Mary just want to make sure you guys want to make sure yourselves and your kids, your family, you guys are protected permanently, right? Not temporarily. Exactly. And then I go right into the close. Sorry, not the close, but like assuming the sale. So I end it the exact same way as I would like a union presentation. I don't change anything. The only thing that's different is you plug in their current policy information that they have through us, and you basically are treating that as if you're sitting with a union family and you're going through their policy information. Does that make sense? Or Marvin? Pretty sure you guys are frozen. You guys still hear me? All right, Marvin, you good there, or you cut out a little bit?
You kind of cut off there for a second. second, but I think we got it.
Yeah, so like I said, it's
Hans, I got a question.
yeah.
Can we just?
For POSs, like, how do you?
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's their final review and everything, but like, sometimes if they have like a 10-year RNC or something, they know they can convert whole life later. Like, what's the best way to get them to make that decision today, where they, convert it today, or pick an option today?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, like I said, the biggest way you're able to make them feel like that is the way you start your presentation. Like, you make them feel like there's no real reason, they'd be meeting with anybody else, after today. We're going to perform your policy review for you. And if you treat yourself like a servicing manager instead of like an enrollment specialist, like a benefits rep, they're going to feel like it's a different kind of meeting. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a sales call. This is more of like an education and get you finalized today. The goal is to get everything finalized and fill in all the gaps. That way you never have to worry about it again today. So term conversions are like layups. I love when I see those, because I know that they bought into the company and they have a term, especially if they only got a couple years left to convert it. What's the sense in waiting? They know that they have to convert it or it's going to basically go away in a sense. And the longer that they wait, it's just going to get more expensive. It's a very clear cut path. Like, if you have to do this, last time we're in the area was a couple years ago. We're finally out here again to get this taken care of for you. You only got a year left to convert this. And if you wait a year, it's going to be this much more expensive. I can't guarantee I'll even be out here, but it's usually the way you kind of just set up the presentation is more or less as like a servicing manager, here to get you finalized, educate you on what you have and what the future of your policy looks like. So after today, you never have to worry about this. You're treating it like, once I hand this freedom of choice over today, I'm taking all of your problems and I'm walking out the door with them. You're never gonna have to worry about them again. So for specifics, like I said, it's really just the way you start the presentation and the way you explain their current coverage and close out of that. Because if you explain their coverage in a couple minutes, 5-10 minutes, in a short, sweet, concise manner, where they know exactly what they have and they know it's a problem, and they don't feel like you're beating them up, you're there to help them, you're just educating them and showing them that this is a serious problem. There are gaps. Obviously, we have to make sure those gaps are covered, because obviously, Joe, Mary, you guys want to make sure your family's protected permanently, right? Absolutely. And then I just go into the close and assume the sale. And there should be no reason they don't see the value in converting it to the whole life policy, especially if you did a good job of thoroughly explaining what they have and how it's going away. Like, this is your only option. And I don't even bring up that you have like the option to do it in another year, because I don't want to even put that in their thought. But if it comes up in conversation, I just simply explain, you're right, you can. However, if it's taken us 8 years to even consider doing it, what makes us think a year from now we're going to wake up one day and change our term policy into a whole life policy? It's just not going to happen. So let's just go ahead and get this done today. That way, when I walk out of here or hang up this phone call, this problem's gone forever. Plus, it's going to save them money, and you guys know that. Like, it's a clear cut path. If you wait another year, you're that much more expensive. It's really all it is. So I hope that helped. But anyone else on any POS information or anything like that? We good? Okay, cool. All right, guys. So I want to spend the majority of the rest of the time we have talking about steps to management. But I just want to spend like 5 quick minutes just giving you guys some tips on your virtual presentation, because I know a lot of us that are still in the field are still doing like a hybrid, because you're understanding that, like, you're right, some families are comfortable with you coming out, but at the end of the day, we're still in a pandemic, and that's a huge obstacle to overcome, and it's very difficult to overcome COVID. You don't have a lot to say. So even people that are doing field still, you are forced to do at least some virtual. I know that for a fact. And then obviously there's some of us that are only doing virtual, like myself for the most part. So just a couple quick tips. Obviously, guys, you need to be as professional as possible. Invest in a camera. Spend $100, $50 on a webcam. I promise you, you'll make that money back in a day. You can make 2-3 grand in a day with this career. Treat this like a business and don't treat this like a job. Like, this is you and your income and your business. So buy a camera, buy a microphone. I don't have one yet, but I have one in the mail. I found one for $50, and it's like a stand-up microphone, like a big mic, and you can just set it right here. I can have it a little bit in the screen so they can literally see it. I would like them to see it because it shows that I'm not just here to hop on and try to sell you something. Like, I do this all day, every day. Like, I'm a professional. I have a nice camera. I have a huge microphone because this is very important, and there's not really a reason I'd be seeing you after today. So let's make sure we go through this correctly. So it's really about professionalism. Hang things up. I'm obviously from Pittsburgh. I got sports stuff up here. I use the same rapport in every home. Every home. Don't, if the wheel ain't broke, don't fix it. You know what I mean? Like, you can do whatever you want, make it look professional. I like these because they're like plaques. They look nice. I have 2 other things I'm going to hang up today. I just haven't had like the sticky things or whatever those are called. I was asking Steven what the names are. I still can't remember what they are. But just simple stuff like hang your awards. If you have sales achievement awards, those things you write over 4,000, post those things on the wall. No one can see how much you wrote or sales achievement. They just see like outstanding excellence or whatever it says at the top. Like, I just got this the other day. Like, I'm definitely going to hang this up. Like, American Income, congratulations, 1 year for your service or whatever. Like, stuff like that, hang that up wherever. You want to make your environment look as professional as possible. The cool thing is, you're right, we can be portable, which is convenient. I know Austin has made sales on a boat and in cars, and other people have as well, which is convenient. But if you have a home place, I know a lot of us present from the office, which is fine because you're in an office setting. It's really easy to sell there because it looks professional. But you're in your home, invest, spend $200-$300 on a desk and getting a nice setup, because I promise you, you will make that money back in a week. And you're going to have a nice place to present, get a nice chair, whatever, So just making your environment as professional as possible, and just invest in your own business, because this is you. You know what I mean? You're going to be doing it every day. Don't have a crappy setup. Look professional. It's going to pay you back immediately. Number 2, I know Melissa, I kind of touched base on it because she asked how long are my presentations. It's hard for me to give a time frame because a lot of times they change. But with virtual, you got to understand, we have to be direct and kind of to the point. Like, I definitely fluff things up for sure. Don't get me wrong, but you want to limit the amount of fluff you have, because with virtual, you got to realize the client, they can hang up the phone on you, hang up the laptop. They can't do that in the home. I'll stay in the home until I physically get kicked out. You know what I mean? I'm not saying being at home for 3-4 hours. I'm definitely not saying that, but you have the ability to. Virtual, you can't really do that because it's harder to gain control. It's not impossible. I don't even want to make it sound harder because it's not, but they have the ability to end the call. So you have to be cognizant of their time and your time as well, especially if you have 8 more appointments on. You don't want to be on a one call for 2.5-3 hours. I book, like Ashley does, I book every 2-hour gaps, like 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, and I double book them. That way I'm always having a place to be. And when I end, I'm going to end in the time gap of my next one, because I know that my presentation is timed out. Map it out. Like, okay, my discount card, this is 12 minutes, 9 minutes. Okay, needs analysis is this long. This is this long. Map it out, and you need to be aware of it. Like, if you can feel yourself like, wow, I feel like I've been talking about the discount card twice as long as I usually am, guess what? Your presentation is going to be a lot longer. So try to give yourself a time limit, like a mental clock for each section. And it's going to be an easy way for you to hold yourself accountable to doing your pitch in like a efficient amount of time professionally. It's going to help you see more people, and the client's going to like it. Like, I know Cardone always says, the more time you spend with the client, the worse. Like the less time you spend with them, the higher the chance that they're going to buy. Our presentation is long enough. You're talking to someone about this for at least an hour. They understand it's important and you got your point across. So I don't like to go past 2 hours, especially virtual. Other than that, that's pretty much just a couple little tips I have for the presentation. That's about it. The last, 10, 15 minutes. So like I said, I was going to do 45. I'll go another 10, 15. Was honestly just steps to management. I'm not sure if someone wants to show me, raise your hand if you want to be in management at some point within this career. Okay. So pretty much everybody on this call for the most part wants to be in management. You guys obviously all know from an agent standpoint, to get to an SA, you have to do 100 presentations within 90 days, which ultimately means you need to write 24,000 in business. The way it works out, as you guys know, 800 ALP, which is an average sale. If you close, 30 out of 100 presentations, 30%, basically company-wide average, you're going to write 24,000 over the course of 90 days. As you see people in this agency, they've done it in a month. So it's possible. It's all about activity. So I know most of us are now using Calendly. I was kind of a late bloomer and I've used Zoom for a while just because I felt very confident on the phones. I usually didn't have a big problem with show ratio just because of solidifying appointments. But I know that's a problem that we have with newer agents is getting no-showed. So use Calendly. It's going to help improve your show ratio. And it's going to help you get to that 24,000 quicker to hit your SA numbers. Outside of that, guys, because that's the basic. I mean, you guys have heard that 100 times. Hit your SA numbers. That's all it is. But guess what? You can hit your SA numbers, and it doesn't mean anything if you're not trying to be a leader or you're trying to influence anyone. Like, I don't care how good of an agent you are. If you're not doing the things that need to be done as a manager, you're not going to get that contract. I'm not saying that to scare anybody, but by saying that, the one thing I kind of want you guys to realize with this career, like Tommy says, when you start off, you're going to do this much work and you're going to get paid this much. And slowly, it'll get to the point where you're doing this much work and you're getting paid this much. So that's true. And I can attest that. I've only been here 1 year and it's been a drastic difference. Coming straight out of college, I did the first 4 months of this career while I was still in school, giving presentations off my laptop that I had on protein shaker bottles and the most jerry-rigged setup of all time. You don't need, obviously I was telling you guys, you want to be professional, it's going to make life easier, but this job has a lot of flexibility, which is cool. So the room for growth is massive if you do the things that you need to do to get to where you want to be. It's as simple as that. So with that being said, if you want to be into management, you need to act like you're in management now. Do the things that you're not paid to do right now, because one day you're going to get paid for the things that you don't even do. Do more work now, even though you're not getting paid for it, because one day, as long as you understand long-term that you're going to get paid for doing things that you're not even doing anymore. You're doing less work and you're getting paid exponentially. It's what happens when you build a team and you can lead them. So the idea is, if you're going to become in management, you need to start treating it like you're an SA right now, which means you have to be very selfless. You guys see what, I'm not saying me, but just like all the leaders and management team, what they do. There's a lot on your plate when you come into management. You get more responsibilities. You obviously get paid more, which is cool, but you're now responsible for not just your own alarm clock. You're responsible for others, So if you can't be accountable to yourself, you can't be accountable to a team. So if you're not, even if you're an agent, that's fine. You need to start treating it like you're an SA. Start checking up on people you work closely with. Ask them questions. If they have any problems, if you can help them out with things, act like you're their SA. And you should expect them to do the same thing to you. If I know everyone on this call raised their hand, so start acting like it together. We're all the future leaders of the Vena agency. I know we have a lot of people coming in Monday, and we're going to have a whole lot more people coming in over the next couple months. Hopefully have hundreds and hundreds of people by the end of this year. So we need to realize 6 months from now, everybody on this call should and that wants to be will be in management. So if you start acting like that now and doing the things you're supposed to do, being punctual, showing up on time, asking questions when you don't need to be doing as an agent, your job is to set and sell. It's a very simple process. But when you want to start taking the steps into being an SA in management, you really need to focus on recruiting and developing agents to become SAs. That's your goal as an SA, to develop other SAs. So the quicker you start implementing those steps and acting like you're an SA and doing the responsibilities that an SA will do, I assure you, your time will come and you will become an SA. And when you become an SA, guess what? Your job now is to start acting like you're already going to be a GA. And you start doing that for your team and your agents, and you're being selfless, because the more you pour into them, the more it's going to pour back into you down the road. So with that being said, guys, you just need to put in the work now. That's simply all I can say. You know, I know you guys understand this can be a very lucrative position, and you're right, but it's not easy. You know, there's not a lot of people on this call. You know, there are a lot of successful people in this business, but there's a reason why most people out there aren't making 2, 3, 4, 5 grand a week, because our job is not easy. It's simple, but it's not easy. So if you just put in the work now, trust the process, I assure you, you're going to hit your numbers. And if you start doing the things that an SA and a GA needs to do before you get there, when you get there, you're not even going to feel a difference. I don't even know how long I was an SA, but as soon as I got promoted to a GA, I didn't feel any different. I've been doing the same things a GA has had to do for the past 3 months. When I was in college, like I said, I got coded back in December 29th, which is today. Well, today's January 29th. I got coded December 29th last year. So I'm a year and 1 month into this business as of today. When I got coded, obviously I went through the training process just like everybody else, but you guys can understand, when we decided we're going to Chicago, that kind of delayed everything for about a month. So I kind of went back to being a college kid for a month, just being honest with you guys. So I kind of took a step back. Once we figured out the office situation, I started working again. And then guess what? COVID hit. Virtual didn't kick in for almost a month. You know, so my first couple months were rough. Like, I was so excited. I did training. I was doing all this work like you guys are doing. Finally got released, was about to go in the field. Then we found out we were going to Chicago. So I didn't have leads. I wasn't able to do anything. Once we finally got back, I was about to hit the field again, and then COVID hit. There's no more field. Now I'm virtual. Learn to adapt. Wow, okay, I'm a brand new agent. I still barely know what I'm doing. Now I got to do this through a computer, and I'm already released. So I got to kind of figure it out on my own. Okay, just accept that you're going to get a couple no's before you get a yes. If you understand that, you're not going to have a problem being successful in this career. You know, like, I knew I'm going to get told a lot of times, because I already understood that I'm not going to learn everything I need to do in the first 6 months of a new career about insurance, especially when, I don't want to say on my own, but I'm saying when you're released, you have a little bit more pressure. So if you just understand that you're going to get told no a couple times, and you're going to have to go through the trials and tribulations to start being consistent, when that happens and you get told no, it doesn't phase you. And then you can go in your next sit, your next presentation. It's not going to make a difference. So just kind of understand what you're getting yourself into. And if you understand what you're going to go through before you're going to get successful, you won't get discouraged, and you're going to get to your results quicker. Because when you get discouraged, you're like, oh, I don't want to run this appointment. Let me reschedule. I want to take the day off. If you know that's going to happen, I get told no. Okay, cool. Next family. It's a numbers game. You're just going to reach your SA numbers and your management numbers quicker. Now, on another side note, like I said, with maybe doing the things it takes to be an SA or a GA before you get there, when COVID hit, it could have been even longer. It's probably closer to a month and a half when I wasn't able to do anything like regarding presenting. So I was a recruiter 4 months into the deal. I talked to Gio and Vince, you know, and I basically made recruiting calls for months, RMSs, We have jot forms now, and we have all these other resources that myself and all these other managers pay for weekly, which are much more effective and efficient for the money you spend. We used to just call RMSs, which, like Tommy says, you guys heard him talk about agency meetings and huddles. MGAs and SGAs are found out of RMS forms. For you guys who don't know, RMSs are basically a free recruiting resource that the company provides. Just list of 100, 200 people, absolute random people that are applying for jobs online. Could be anywhere from insurance to working at McDonald's. Like, they're not geared straight for this job. So it's like leads. You just really got to siphon through them. So for that month and a half, when I couldn't present, I could have stayed as a college kid and just done the things that you guys know college kids do for a month and a half and put my career to the side. I just worked and I made recruiting calls all day, and I didn't get a lot of results. But guess what? Now that I'm an SA and now that I'm a GA, I can book interviews. I'm in the process of running 3rd interviews. Like, when I get to this point, it's nothing different because I've already done the work to get to where I need to be. And I already know what I need to do. So once you finally step into the shoes of a management position, it's not going to be anything different. That's really all it comes down to. So like I said, guys, just as a recap, number one, know what you're getting yourself into and trust the process. Just know that you need to do these things. And guess what? It's going to be hard. It's going to be difficult. You know, you might not find success immediately. I don't care. Who cares? Just do it. I know a lot of us on this call are super young. We got nothing to lose. Even for people out of order, it doesn't matter. You have nothing to lose. Invest in yourself. Take 6 months and try something new. You got to realize in a normal business, it usually takes 3 to 5 years to find a return on your investment. In this career, you can get that in 3 to 6 months. And it's a big one. I can assure you that. So take the first couple months, you know, give everything you have and understand what you're getting yourself into. And I promise you, if you put your head down and you pick your head up 6 months from now, and you're actually doing the things you said and you know that you need to do, this career will be 100% 180. You'll be in your SA contract. You keep that same mentality for the next couple months, and you can be a GA by the end of the year. I signed my GA contract, I believe 15 days before my 1 year with this company. So this kind of leads me to my last point. I don't know where it's at. I'm not going to waste time to try to find it. But for you guys who aren't doing this, who don't have like a schedule, like a daily planner, obviously do that. But with that being said, you need to, whatever your dreams and goals are, your visions, have a vision board and write them down. Because the other day I was sitting with Steven and Vince at the house and like something just clicked. And I realized, I'm like, wait a second. Back in December of 2019, when I was coded, I wrote down my 1 month, 3 month, 5 month, 1 year, 3 year, and 5 year goals. And I made it very detail oriented of how much business I want to have under my name, how many books I want to read, how big my team's going to be, what management position I'm going to be at. And guess what? I wrote that thing out. I probably haven't looked at it in 8 months. And the other day when I went and looked at it, my GA contract was said to be, I wrote that I would sign my GA contract, I think January 8th of 2021. And I signed it 2 weeks earlier. So pretty cool. It's going to help you out. This job, it has a lot of powerful things. And if you write them down on paper, it's going to come to life. So like I said, guys, trust in the process. I really love the opportunity to talk to you guys today. Even if you're not on my team or anything, I'm still here to help. So if any of you guys want to message me individually or anything like that, feel free to give me a call, shoot me a text. I'm here for you. But other than that, I'll wrap everything up. So do you guys have any other questions or anything for me before I let you guys go today? All right. Well, I appreciate you guys. Let's get after it today and let's write some business. All right.
Thanks, Matt. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right. Let's have a great day. Let's kill it.
Bye, Matt.